Welcome everyone to the 5th episode of the Pantheon Panel. And we've got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. We're a little bit late this week because Wednesday was July 4th, and all you Americans out there, I'm sure we're busy playing, so we didn't want to bring you a show on that night. Today we've got the effects of the 5-man queues. We've gotten a little bit of experience with them so far. The Guan Yu post-patch and the pre-recent patch. And a little interesting talk about stacking auras, and a little bit more after that to go with. I have my guest hosts with me tonight are Cerise, who is Team Dunk, and Alakite, who is the Borderland Gaming Team Manager. So we're bringing you with the hatception tonight of different types. Let's actually just go ahead and start with some introductions. So Cerise, introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, I don't know, for some of the community I don't think I need much of an introduction, but I'm kind of the resident dick of the forums. I mean, I'm kind of a big deal, I mean, let's be honest here, but yeah, I'm part of Team Dunk. We pretty much just dunk the 5-man queues right now, so that's about all that needs to be said.
Alright, Alakite, and I believe this is your second time joining us on the show, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
But for those who are new here, why don't you go ahead and tell them who you are?
Okay. I don't know what kind of work, I guess, with quotations for Borderland Gaming. I just kind of go all over the place. I lurk everything, basically, the IRC, C3, etc., play games. That's, I guess, all there's to say.
All right. So let's just go into the first topic of today. We're going to first look at 5-man queues. We've gotten about 2 weeks worth of 5-man queues experience in, I believe it is, or maybe it's only 1 week. I can't remember at this time. But let's look at queue times to begin with. How have 5-man queue times been?
Instantly. No, it's shorter than normal queues for the most part, unless you have no one queuing for some odd reason. There's usually 2 people queuing, and it's pretty instant, it seems.
So you think there's a reason for that?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know, I haven't thought of it. Because there's always someone queuing, I guess.
Is there any is there any matchmaking algorithm right now to the 5-man queues?
Doesn't seem like it.
What do you think, Cerise? Is there anything that they're doing when it comes to matchmaking for 5-mans?
Well, I haven't seen what they did behind the scenes, but supposedly they did some work behind the scenes, which I've seen has improved it greatly, but...
Really?
Well, that was yesterday, right?
For a solo queue or 5-mans?
For 5-man queues. It was pretty not fun queuing for quite a while there. And
I don't know. I still find it's total 10-minute surrenders almost every game.
Well, that doesn't have much to do with the queue times, but yeah, when...
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, when you're queuing up, though, now it's almost instantaneous pop, but I don't know if they're really trying to match you up against people of your skill level, because... Team Dunk. I mean, what do I got to say about that?
Basically, any team should be named Team Dunk, it seems.
Well, I guess the question goes out there to ask, is there actually very many teams of the same skill level queuing right now? On average, I've seen about 500 people in the 5-man queue, so we're looking at 50 games going on, so...
Well, I'd say there's probably about 3 or 4 teams, probably 2 on at a time that are actually what you call, the people that call themselves professionals, and like, Hex, Dunk, Agni Mid, etc. And then we can, we'd say the IRC, other people that just are, I'm not going to say we're like, I'd say more above average, not to be mean to anyone, but I'd say it's more above average.
Oh, don't be shy. Don't be shy.
So
no, I'm just saying, like, when you queue up with IRC, still, like, stomps, but then I'd say when we go up against Agni Mid, we usually, for the most part, just,
I think pretty sure it goes with, when you play this one seriously, oh, we screwed up.
Yeah.
But, okay, so win-loss ratios, then. I'm not sure about you, Cerise. I know my win-loss has dramatically increased due to 5-man queues because there's not very many times that we can lose for some of us queuing up into 5-mans. Kind of creating a... are the ELOs... Do you think the ELOs are actually... The win-loss ratio is the same. It's combined with both systems. Should that be separated?
Yeah, it should definitely be separated, because I could go and solo queue and basically just tank. Seriously tank myself. Solo queue shit out of everyone, just absolutely make everyone hate me for tanking it so hard, and then my 5-man and be like, hey, you know, we're all bros, let's go ahead and just roll face here, because I just went and tanked, so... It should definitely be separate, because that's no indication of how a 5-man stacks up against a 5-man.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's been actually quite odd. Like, my win-loss ratio is increasing by every single match. Yeah, it's skyrocketing by the match, but it doesn't make sense to keep them to have solo queues in this as two the same thing right now.
What the hell?
Definitely need to separate. I'm not sure what the sound was.
I was like, what?
Okay, I mean, so there's not much more. I mean, is there anything you're looking forward to in the 5-man queues? To need it, maybe
challenge?
Maybe a new...
When they came out, I was hoping for, you know, good practice matches,
Want the
you know,
practice
general
matches
skill
in.
increase, but it's just kind of... It's solo queue, it's just your team has no bads on it.
I mean, could it possibly be, though, making the other 5-mans out there actually learning to play better a bit more now? They're getting stomped, but they're working together?
Oh, yeah, hopefully.
Maybe. All right.
We always hope that people would start to improve a little bit more with the ability to queue with this allegedly the same 5 people. I mean, obviously, that's not always going to be the case to find the same people, but you would hope that people would at least get somewhat better with the ability to actually try out team strategies rather than, oh, you know, I'm going to go ahead and go over here with my butt buddy, and then I've got 3 other guys, or in the case of 3-man queues we had before, these other 2 guys that are feeding this lane over here, and that just was, that was awful.
Well, I know there's the IRC channel that people have been using, I guess, to create 5-man groups. I'm not sure if they're using a voice chat after that or not, but who knows. All right, I mean, that's 5-man queues. It's going to be changing. It's going to over time.
Fix your audio quality.
Fix my audio quality?
People are saying that the audio is skipping on stream. I'm getting yelled at by people.
Like, how bad is it skipping? Let's see.
I don't have it. Whatever.
Do we still have bad sound?
Fixie says turn off local recording.
I don't want to. They were fine last time. Okay.
I don't know.
Sounding better now. Alright, well, if they scream at me again, let me know, and I'll turn off the recording. Alright, let's go ahead and look at everyone's favorite god, Guan Yu.
You mean Guan Yu?
Let's look at pre-patch. First off, we had a week-long play of Guan Yu, and how would you describe him before this recent patch? What was that?
Fuck.
Walk?
No, just plain and simple fuck. It was the same thing that went through my mind every single time I saw him. It was just not a good time.
Okay,
unless I had Guan Yu on my team, it was just like, oh, here comes Guan Yu. Well, I better abandon this fight as quickly as possible. I'm about to get thoroughly raped.
Now, the question is, was it worse or better a week?
It was the same damn thing, believe me.
Yeah.
That week was bad. I saw my win-loss tank dramatically during that week. I quit playing because of it. Guan Yu, just as bad. It was just a not fun affair.
Oh,
yeah.
So what was
what
was most fun about Guan Yu that week?
It's the fact that he won basically one combo squishies if he just ulted into 3, I think, and was able to basically one combo them at level 5. And after that, he just kind of snowballed into this killing machine late game that could 3v1 you, which, even if you were the good player, if you had, you know, people that are feeding him, not much you can do about it.
I mean, if we look at him, he was a healer. He could slow you. He could damage you. He could always use an ability. He could slow you, silence you, and stun you, and damage you at the same time. So that was Guan Yu for us. But as most people have seen and have played today, experienced, we did actually have a change in him with yesterday's patch. That patch that went live this morning.
Yeah.
Experiences after today's patch.
I think he might have been nerfed a bit too hard on his 3 damage. It's barely high enough to make up for the fact that you have to sit on them for 4 seconds now. Unlike, say, you look at Hebo, who has, his is short range, but 3-second instant cooldown with his 1 and 320 damage versus Guan Yu's 375, I think it is now. Which, his debuffs, that's also true, but I don't know if it makes up for the fact that he has to sit on you for 4 seconds.
Would you notice that?
Yeah.
His third ability's damage at rank 5 is now less than what it was at rank 3?
Well,
that's pretty sad.
Yeah. It was a little bit overboard to hit him in every single area all at once. I would have been happier if they just went with Taolu Assault, his third ability.
Yeah. Scale
That back a little bit. It was 600 base damage plus a 200% scaling. I was a little bit high. I could see maybe, the 15% scaling and bring it back a little bit. It's a damage over time ability, so you've got to think that it's not always going to be hitting them for the full duration, so you can't just have something that's low damage, like, what if it were 300 damage? That wouldn't be worth it. So I think they brought it down a little too far, but, that's just me. Everything else, it's just kind of going even more into the realm of nerfing him into oblivion. He's still good, don't get me wrong, he's still good, but he is not quite optimal when you compare it to somebody like Hell, who can just sit there and continually spam heals into your team and pretty much destroy the enemy with all of the powerful nukes.
Have either of you played him post-patch?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's still pretty good.
I didn't have much problem with him playing him. I played against in a pug, not in a 5-man, but...
Yeah. But it's still, you can definitely tell the difference. You get into a game, you try to towel, or whatever it's called, drums them, and you can just be like, oh, this doesn't feel like it hits hard at all for sitting on them for 4 seconds. I don't know.
It doesn't make your butthole pucker anymore when a Guan Yu comes out of nowhere just spinning that staff around like, oh, look at me, I got this really cool ability that does 600 base damage. You want to fight?
Well, he's still listed as a support and a tank character. But
Yeah,
he can't support too much anymore, I don't feel like.
I disagree with that. I think he was pushed more into the role because now he can kind of dash in, use ult, sit there with his heals, tank absorb, everything, and then run away is still his kind of goal, it seems, in fights, is just to annoy you and be that initiator.
Yeah, and I think most people were unaware of his passive. A lot of people were unaware that his passive, it gives him a buff underneath towers. So if he's under a tower, he basically gains a passive. He gains more defense, is that what it is, on both magical and physical?
Yeah, 20 to physical and magical.
Yeah, so gets a pretty nice defense buff for going underneath the tower. In early game, that's probably quite a bit for attacking somebody or something. But
yeah, overall, it's a pretty good passive. I think a lot of people were saying, well, this passive sucks. Well, no, it doesn't. It gives you a lot of versatility on, well, I wouldn't say a lot of versatility, but it gives you some use both in a defensive and offensive manner. There's those times where somebody just kind of skirts underneath their tower, low health. You're like, man, I really wish I could go in there, but I just don't have enough defense to tank those hits. Well, Guan Yu can. He can go in there. He's got a heal. He's got some respectable damage. He's got slow. What more do you want for tower diving than somebody who tanks up for doing it? And it's the same thing on the defensive side of things. He can start his ultimate underneath the tower. He's got good defense, so he's not getting picked off in the middle of a tower dive. So I think he's kind of excelling in that part where, he can get in there and really break up that monotony of, I'm just going to sit underneath my tower because you can't do anything to me because the thing hits you like a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Like I'm
role?
saying.
What role does he have in the
Oh.
game then with teams?
I think it's more now he's kind of like that initiating kind of guy because he dashes in, uses his ult, kind of splits up your team, breaks them up unless they want to get the stun. And either way, you have to sit there and run away from him or take the stun. So he's just kind of this disrupting initiator, it seems to me.
Yeah, kind of like, I'm sure we got a lot of League of Legends players out there, but Alistair is sort of, I wouldn't say totally reminds me of him, because obviously Alistair is an absolute nuisance. It's like, knocked up, headbutt, what do you want? Oh, heal? Oh, I've got a tanking ability that makes me immune to damage. But Guan Yu's got a little bit more utility in the debuff section, and he's also still got a fairly decent CC kit to go along with it, so I kind of look at him in that light now that he obviously doesn't just come out of nowhere with that drum spear and just kill you.
Do everything at once type of guy.
Yeah, I mean, what composition-wise, who do you think he's best to lane with?
Oh, it's hard to put him really into a lane where he doesn't excel, because, I mean, he's got a really powerful kit. He can be, he can even fit well with somebody else who's a support. I mean, he can go well with Ra, and he can just be the in-your-face damage dealer, and Ra can do the healing, and he can just put off healing until later and just go straight damage. And that works just as well as if you have him in a more support role. You take the heal and the dash, and you don't really do the Taolu Assault.
Okay. All right. Actually, talking about gods, I want to look at one more guy. I didn't put it in our show notes, but we got a new skin for Hades.
Already bought it.
It actually looks really good. I gotta admit, the skin looks really cool, and I should have thought of just put a picture up. But the Hades skin is actually really cool looking. But how much use is anybody gonna get out of it with the current incarnation of Hades?
You want to start?
It depends. It depends on who you're playing against. I mean, again, being part of Team Dunk, really don't see a lot of challenge, so I can pick Hades, and I feel 100% comfortable with him. I've played a lot of Hades, sort of. Well, in Alpha I played quite a bit of him, and I've played him a little bit since the release. I try to shy away from it, but I have, of course, posted evidence on the forums that 5 purification beats does not counter Hades.
It doesn't completely counter him. But you can mix.
You still have to be smart about it. I mean, having purification beads and then popping them when I use death from below and come into the middle of you, I can just wait it out. As soon as you're done, I'm going to start channeling my ultimate. Now you're sucked in.
Yeah, I found myself purchasing Aegis a lot more than purification beads for almost anything like that. But even though Aegis only gives me, 2 seconds of invulnerability, I just hold off and wait till I really need it. But
yeah, you gotta wait for that wombo combo, because usually there's something coming after the Hades starts channeling that ultimate.
Well, I found the best actually way to avoid Hades is to know where he is.
Yeah, that's honestly the best way. I mean, you can have instances where, again, I've seen a lot of posting on the forums about going through walls. That's not realistic. Well, at least for Hades it's realistic, because he's going through the ground. And you can do that right through a jungle wall, and boom, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, what in Hades' kit might need to be changed? Is there anything that needs to be changed in Hades' kit, for that matter?
Yeah. I think he needs to be able to get out the Blight much better than he does right now, it seems, because even if you're auto-attacking, you can only get it on one person at the most for, you have one skill to combo with your one, and then after that, you basically have 1 or 2 people max that you can get with every skill after that, it seems. So I feel like if you get a better way to apply his Blight to, say, use his Fear on multiple people, or you don't have to pick, hey, I'm using this, the rest of my kit is now subpar, I think that would make him a little bit better at least.
Very true.
There's quite a bit that could be worked on with Hades. I mean, just looking at each and every ability he has, I mean, you can almost replace it with anyone else. Anyone else you can think to pick, you can find them and just replace Hades with that. I mean, you've got slows from Anubis, from Ra. You've got healing abilities, again, from Ra. You've got Hell. You've got Guan Yu. For silence, I mean, you could grab a mirror and get a full-on stun out of it. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. He's also got a wall on a mirror, so, you know, where does Hades fit into this? He's got subpar damage, subpar CC, and his ultimate is countered by purification beads. So where do you put him on a team comp, realistically?
Who knows? All right, getting out of Hades, I mean, I think the devs are still looking at him anyways. Let's go into a little bit of a special part of this episode today on stacking auras. Now, as of recently, as of this morning, all debuffing and buffing auras can no longer stack. However, that excluded one item, and what item was that?
Mystical Mark.
All right, let's take a moment and actually watch a little bit of a video.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun.
On our little experiences last night with the Mystical Mark.
Oh, they're actually doing something about this?
Stay there, stay there, stay there, keep doing it.
Ooh, we're starting on fire. Yeah, now we just walk up to them and they die. I'll just sit next to those guys, bye-bye. Oh, you interrupted it. Oh, we're dying.
GG.
I wonder if anybody there this is what level
Heals
we
coming
are
from
in
heals,
now,
and then
we're still at level 7.
6 minutes into the game, yeah. And they ganked us.
just get tower.
Next one. Carousel.
Oh, they're gonna try and do something. Oh, well, we have fire giants left. Oh, and then they try and fight us again.
Oh, kill him, there we go. I'm on tier 2 voice zone.
There's nothing they can do against it. It's just so stupid.
Yeah, I should have. We have 90 more seconds of fire buff.
Behind us. Oh. Doesn't matter if they go behind us.
Heals. I got forward. Oh my god, heal me. You didn't heal me.
Whoops, my bad. Was alt tab.
Ah! Coming.
Yeah, we just sit next to them and they die. What's the point of actually attacking? Yeah, this isn't even counterable. It doesn't matter what kind of damage you had.
Heal on Phoenix. There it is, GG.
Alright, well, That's enough of the video for it to be obvious. So, let that soak in for a moment. Definitely, for those in chat watching, in no way am I showing you this video to say, hey, here, go do this. I mean, I'm going to first make it very clear that we're not... I'm not putting this out there to say, hey, here's a cheap strategy that can guarantee a win if the other team doesn't realize you're doing it right from the beginning. There is no counter to this. There is no counter to this strategy, and it needs to be made public so that it can be changed as soon as possible.
Well, I mean, come on, there's obviously
I wouldn't say there's no
counter to this. I mean,
but yeah.
you could clearly just not team fight, and I mean, you could just no, I gotta agree with you on this. I can't even BS my way through that. Not even with a straight face could I do that. The problem is that you've got this item that's relatively dirt cheap. It gives you health, which is a good counter to magical damage early on. You can't really be bursting down. Gives you physical defense, which of course is great against creeps. You don't really get harassed down. And it gives you a burn aura, which then stacks 5 times. So doing, the rough math, that's about 200 magic damage per second. Now, how do you fight that? You don't. You run away from it. You just don't fight it. Then they go grab Fire Giant, they grab Gold Fury, they continue snowballing out of control. What do you do about that? Well, you just sit back and wait for 10 minutes and then hit the concede button, because that's about all you can do to it.
Yeah, I mean, we were at level 6.
Yeah.
At level 6, taking the Fire Giant in seconds. Like, it wasn't even a joke. I mean, it needs to be changed. And for those watching, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity after the show. Jump onto the forums. Alakite's already started a thread for us. It's called Mystical Mark ×5. Go in there and demand something be fixed about it. I'm not saying they have to make it a one-person aura. They may change something else about it. I don't know. But it can't stay in its current implementation.
No. But I will say this to all of you in the audience right now. Go 5-man queue. Use this strat, and you will piss off so many people. They will go to the forums, register an account, just to post about it. I guarantee you that. Because Team Dunk already did that once with another strategy with backdooring the Minotaur. Well, let's not talk about that because that was a little bit...
That's why the Phoenix has to be killed now.
Yeah, there was a whole debacle with that. There was some hurt feelings, a new forum account, and some choice words were posted. So... yeah, but at least go in the game. Some people, they don't get on the forums. They might not know about it. So make them hurt, and they will go and they will post about it, and we will get this fixed.
And I would say if you don't believe how strong it is, I mean, we were like, okay, this can't really work. There has to be something that... and then we tried it, and it's like, okay, this is just a stupid strat. There's really nothing... if you can get the Fire Giant, there's no way you can handle... you got to realize Fire Giant gives you, 70 magical power or 70 physical power and 100 magical power. At level 6, how are you going to fight that? There's nothing you can do about that at level 6. You're not, and that's not even counting the whole 200 damage aura right there. So, and if someone grabs an early Void Stone, that makes it even worse. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it if they get Fire Giant. And even if they're trying to get Fire Giant, you can turn on them. We've done it multiple times where they've had 2 or 3 come over to Fire Giant, and we just destroy them because we have this aura, we have healers, we have all this stuff going on. So, not much you can do against it. It really is insane.
I mean, this is partially what they were trying to avoid with the fact that in this recent patch, they removed the auras, and we even tested that last night. I mean, it's been tested by several people before, of combining Witchstone and, what was the other aura, the other one in attack speed? We
were doing, Witchstone and Soul Eater.
Soul Eater, yeah. Combining Witchstone and Soul Eater, both maxing that out first. And we went and did that and took the Fire Giant. We killed him when he only swung 3 times.
Like once every 4 seconds or something stupid like that?
He swung 3 times, at us the entire time before we killed him. That was in itself OP, and they made that change recently. They made that change this morning's patch, but they left out Mystical Mark. What do you think why do you think they left out Mystical Mark from the changes to begin with? Or do we just really have no idea?
I just think it's because they want the item. I mean, I don't think they want to make the item useless. If multiple people are grabbing Mystical Mark, it's, a health, physical power item. I don't think they want to get rid of the item entirely. They still want that damage on it, but it's just, the intention isn't, hey, 5 people are going to go run around with Mystical Mark and solo Fire Giant level 6. It's, hey, maybe 1 or 2 people are going to grab this. We don't want to nerf its effectiveness. So I think that's what,
Well,
I don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and tell a little story here about a mystical land that I come from. Well, I don't come from Dota specifically. I come from Han, and of course before that Demigod, which obviously was like the premier e-sport. So, but in Dota and in Han, auras don't stack, period. Even the damage aura from Radiance, or I believe in Han it's Mock of Brilliance, which does relatively the same thing in terms of the aura it gives. And there's a pretty damn good reason why it doesn't stack, and that's to prevent whole teams from grabbing this damaging item that can just put out massive amounts of damage if you get it early enough. And that's the problem that we're seeing here, is you can get a Mystical Mark so damn fast, so stupidly fast. You can have it within like 2 or 3 minutes. And what are people supposed to do about this? Their HP pool is not 1,500, 1,600 at that level. No, you're talking maybe 1,000 with a couple of health items. It doesn't add up. And that's got to come to an end here. It really does.
I mean, I gotta say, I've kind of like what I saw a little bit today. I was playing with a person, we were in a pug match, and it's not so much the Mystical Mark, but just that whole idea with the aura is not stacking, is we were sitting there and we go, oh, this person already got Void Stone, so let's not get Void Stone because they've already got it, and we can't, those effects aren't going to stack for us, so let's focus on something else. I think it's creating a bit more team awareness. The problem is in pugs, a lot of pugs aren't going to realize that they are not going to think about what stacks. They're going to go with those builds that they find on that website they find and go with it instead of being aware of their team. But it definitely is a more unique and more requirement for teams to actually take that time and figure out who's going to build what is this item going to be good on. Such as Void Stone is probably a great item for someone like Raw or Agni to put on them, because they're going to be up close to the enemy a lot of times, or sometimes anyways, and they might want that reduction. Whereas putting Void Stone on someone else, like Guan Yu, might not be as useful on Guan Yu, or it might be useful on Guan Yu. Just we don't need it on multiple people anymore. Mystical Mark, if it was brought down to only one person needing it because it only doesn't stack, which character would be best to get Mystical Mark?
I don't think it falls into which is the most effective, but more of, does my god really benefit from this? One of the earliest things I looked at with Sobek was, well, I'm not doing any damage while I'm sitting underwater here following people around with this snare. I'm just kind of sitting there, not really doing anything. I'm regenerating some mana and I'm taking less damage, but I'm not doing anything else. I'm waiting 4 seconds to pop out and, blow my load. Well, what if they pop an Aegis last second? Negates all of my damage. So I buy a Mystic Mark on Sobek all the time because he's in your face. He is always doing something in your face. So
and that nice health buff on him works pretty well too.
Yeah, like someone said in chat, I like to buy it on Hades because he has low damage as it is, and with that ult you can stay on top of them. You're staying on top of them for the most part anyways, so I find it's okay on Hades to add to his low damage pool already.
Yeah, but Hades sucks. I buy it on him all the time when I play him, but I mean,
would say it's better on better on characters, better on AP characters, or characters in general. Not have to be AP characters who are within melee range most of the time for a lot of their attacks, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen it fought on Kali, and I died to it once. I was pretty sad. I was like, wait, what the hell just killed? Oh, Mystical Mark. But not saying to buy it on them, or it's good to buy on them. It's just
No, please. I've already gone through things like this with a specific alpha tester who advocated the physical raw build.
Oh, I wonder who that would be.
When there is an idea that sounds smart, but it is so stupid, don't do it. Kali, she doesn't really benefit from it that much. I mean, she stays on top of you, but why would I want to sit there and deal damage over time, sitting there whittling you down inch by inch, when I could just buy a Deathbringer and crit you down in one hit?
Well, I'm not saying to buy it. I'm just saying I've seen it, on melees. They sit in range of you. Like Kennedy was saying, is it good on a melee? So I'm saying, melee sitting in range of you. I died to a Kali once, and I was like, oh.
I mean, I personally build a Rod of Tahuti on Artemis sometimes. That seemed like a good idea, because I don't think it does.
I was saying, are you trolling in this?
I'm winning. I'm winning.
There's a lot of builds that we've used, I guess, in the 5v5s that I wouldn't say are definitely the builds to choose in a real match.
Oh, well, yeah, we get bored sometimes, start building unorthodox stuff.
Okay, well, going into that, actually, what are some current strats or builds out there that are either funny to use or work really well, for that matter, out there for the 5v5? For the people who are watching who maybe are doing 5v5 but aren't turning out so much in positive results, what are some things they can try strat-wise, build-wise, character choice-wise? What are we looking at in the game right now?
80 raw, man. 80 raw so strong.
Don't you start with me, son. I will right through.
You got a video coming out soon, don't you, on 80 raw?
I like my 80 raw, man. It's fun to play when you grab a health buff level 1 with Hands of the Gods. 2 creeps, you have your 6-second slow. You just zone them out from the lane. It's a fun little strategy there. I'm not saying it's the best strategy or it's good by any matter against, good players, but it's fun to do.
Will this go along with your jungle raw as well?
Yeah, well, jungle, 80, raw. It just kind of goes together.
So what are some, let's look at some combos that I guess people might be using in a team for characters. In our little video, if no one noticed who the characters we're using, is actually Vamana, Hell, Guan Yu, Raw, and Sobek. Why did we do that? Alakai, can you explain why we did that with those characters?
Heal comps so strong. But no, really, heal comps are really strong, it seems, at the moment. I've seen tons of people, AoE heals with Hell, Guan Yu, Raw. All you need is those. You can grab. We did 3, or all those heals for, Fire Giant, but if you're running a real heal comp, you can run, say, like an Agni for more damage, and then maybe a Wukong for the CC/damage, and, run these types of characters with all the 3 AoE heals. There's really, in my opinion, nothing you can do to counter it. It's blind pick. You can't really counter pick to that. The items in game to counter that, Divine Rune and Brawler's Beatstick, are, in my opinion, subpar compared to any other item. So you're wasting everything else just to buy this one item, and even if you buy it, it has to stack 3 times to be pretty effective, especially if you're running the Brawler's Beatstick. You have to melee attack, or whatever you are, hit people 3 times. If you're wanting to get all of them, 15 times just to get the healing reduction up to max power. So I feel like heal comps are really strong right now, running rampant.
Is there any...
I mean, you got one counter pick right now for healing lineup, and that's Sobek, because he's actually got an AoE ability that reduces healing. But like my esteemed colleague was saying, the items that you buy to counter healing, they're just not effective. You can buy it, sure, and sit there and wail on people and wail on them, but you're not really getting any damage out of the items. It takes a while to actually build up, and you still got 4 other people on the team getting healed up to full. So there's really not a whole lot you can do there unless you manage to pick a Zeus and a Wukong and an Odin. You can trap them all in the ring. You can drop Zeus with the Divine Ruin on top of them all, fear him in there, and actually, get the most out of that healing debuff. But let's be honest here. You'd have to have clairvoyance in order to know, oh, this team's totally going to go heal strat on me.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big thing. Other than heal strats, are there any other combinations or strategies that people should probably try to employ or look at?
I'm pretty sure every single caster runs reinforced into Warlock Sash is basically what every single caster in the game seems to run.
Okay, let's look at boots. Okay, boots in the game. Who doesn't choose reinforced boots?
Me?
Which characters? I guess which characters typically, or which gods right now wouldn't choose reinforced boots most of the time?
The only one you can go.
No, please, son.
The only one I don't buy it on is Aokong if I want to go Midas, but that's about it for the most part. Maybe if I'm going a crit build, I would maybe take the other one. I don't know, but Reinforce is just so good right now.
There are a few people that Reinforced might not be the most optimal choice. Arachne, for example, you could get Reinforced. They're a good option. I mean, it's a solid option on anyone, really, but with Arachne, she's very positional. You can get Boots of Celerity. You can move around a lot faster. You can dish out those ganks, take advantage of that 30-second cooldown on her ultimate. Same thing with people like Hades and Amir. You really need to be where you need to be to do what you need to do. Set up those team fights, get those ganks, do what you need to do there. Sobek is another prime example, somebody who really benefits from moving around fast. But that being said, you could just buy reinforced boots, sit in the lane, and not take any damage. And if you do, well, you're going to regen it in a couple of seconds anyway, because you get probably the most base regen of any item, period. And actually, I did the research. It is the highest base value in any item you will find. It exceeds Silver Fox and Gauntlet of Thieves with 30 instead of 20 HP 5.
Do the boots need a rework?
Yes, there are not really any good alternatives to reinforced boots. When you do it, it's all a situational pickup. It's not, oh, well, the Celerity is really going to help me, or the Midas is really going to help me, because you pick up Midas and you get royally boned in mid because they keep ganking you, and, well, you just flushed all that money down the toilet because it's not going to pay off in the long run. Yeah. And then you pick up Celerity, and, well, the ganks just don't happen, and now you've got a useless pair of boots. So
yeah, it's just Reinforced is so strong. It works on every character right now. Like Ceresa's saying, it's a solid pick on every single character in the game as of right now. I could take them on any caster, any physical DPS. They're going to work just as great. They're going to work better than most other boots. Magi boots, I hate them, to be honest. Yeah. Tavi, like I'm saying, crit build, that's about the only thing I'll grab them on. I don't know why else I'd grab them on my 80 Rock for the other kills, but that's beside the point. Since that's a fun build. But yeah, Reinforced Boots is just too good to pass up for the most part. The 20 HP per 5 at level 1, that's regenning, your full health pool within a minute or something like that. So I don't know.
There just aren't good alternatives. The damage boots, as I have mentioned on the forums and debated with people in very legitimate scientific terms, they're just not good alternatives, especially the Boots of the Magi. They don't really do anything for your mage. Even for somebody like Aokang, who gets the passive from mana, it doesn't do too well on him because, well, I could just tank up a little bit and then not die and get my damage elsewhere. I could get it from a Warlock Sash or a Doom Orb. It really doesn't matter. The point is, the damage boots don't do what they need to do for the people that they're bought on. Even Warrior Tabi are a little bit subpar because you get just sporadic stats. I mean, you don't really need damage because you're going to be getting a Heartseeker because, well, that's a whole different case, but you're going to get enough raw damage from where you need it. You don't really need the crit because, well, 6% isn't that high. You can get it. You can get it by all means. but compared to more sustainability and tankability, it doesn't cut it. It does not cut it.
Well, hopefully we can see a rework of some kind coming to the boots, because I would like to have more diverse ideas and say, hey, okay, let's all go these same boots. These work every single time. I mean, there needs to be something a little bit more to allow that flexibility into it, because it'd be nice to be able to see, other than a few cases where they work, but it's nice to see Celerity or Magi boots come into a bigger role into the game than as they currently are for the gods.
Well,
so.
I think Celerity is always going to be that niche pick anyways for certain characters, but...
Yeah. I'll probably still go my Celerity on Anubis.
You can still get Celerity on Kali, and it remedies the whole, oh, I need to get Frostbound Hammer, because that is an OP item.
That's another thing. How many gods get Frostbound Hammer?
None that I play.
That you play.
And I play everyone.
I don't know. A lot of people, well, I don't know.
I guess a lot of people see it's useful out there.
But I've been enlightened by Cerise, but, before that, I'd have to say every single character, or most characters, Wukong, Kali, sometimes on Bastet, but, I don't know, Heartseeker is just, I prefer that now.
Are slows in the game overpowered?
Ooh, I think the availability of slows is overpowered. Creeping Curse, 500 gold. You get basically the slow of a Frostbound Hammer. It only lasts 5 seconds, boo-hoo, whatever. I can take care of somebody in 5 seconds. Because I just built a damage item that's going to nuke you down in those 5 seconds. So I don't need a Frostbound Hammer. I don't need that to somehow complete me magically. I've got something else that was much cheaper, and with the gold that I saved, I built something that's going to destroy you in 5 seconds.
Well, what I've noticed, and it may just be me, and it may be crazy, and people have heard my rants on it before already, but I feel like the slows in the game do not take any speed buff you have, any boots you're wearing or anything. They're completely ignored whenever a slow is applied to you. It's almost like when the slow is applied, all speed buffs, all boots that give you increased movement speed is all ignored, and it just goes off what was your base movement speed, and we're going to take that 30% off of that, and that's going to be your current speed. I almost feel like it's somehow ignoring everything you have. Like Raw, with this 30% increased movement speed from using his abilities, all of a sudden that no longer exists, and nothing he has, he's completely slowed the exact same every single time, no matter if he had that 30% increase or not.
That could actually be the case, where just somewhere in the equations, what was meant to happen didn't happen. And, who cares about math? I mean, seriously, but...
In a competitive game based
numbers,
on it?
It almost seems like what it does is it goes, okay, let's take a look here. Here's your base movement speed. I'm going to chop off 35% from that. Completely ignore everything. Here's your movement speed. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Because whatever I pop out with Creeping Curse, even if somebody's hasted to oblivion, all of a sudden they're just slowed down to a crawl.
I mean, I was watching it. I died and was watching the Hebo on our team, and the enemy Hebo throws down his little water wave, which slows people, and our Hebo throws down his water path on top of it. Well, that didn't matter. When our Hebo went over top of it, he was still completely slowed as if he had never put his water wave down. Even though he went right over across his, as soon as he hit that, he was completely slowed down again, almost as if it wasn't there at all. It was just completely ignored, like a slow ignores any speed buff.
For starters, please, it's his Yellow River.
Yellow River.
Oh my god.
But
the smell slows you down.
It does need to be looked at a little bit, how the functionality of slows actually interacts with other things, because I wouldn't really say that an opposite haste should totally counteract it, because debuffs should somewhat take priority in that case. You get buffed 55%, and then whatever your value after your base and all the additional movement speeds you get, take the 50% or whatever off of that,
Yes.
then that kind of makes sense. But
I don't say they should nullify each other, but yeah, but if you have 50% increased movement, then it should calculate that, and then whatever say it's reducing your speed by 30% or reducing your speed by 50%, it's reducing it off of that current value, or whatever it ends up being. But it's almost like it's just nullifying it right now. So I don't know. I think I need to actually go in there and do recording of some numbers to actually see if it's doing it or not, and do that. I need to record the matches, but
it's hard without saying the numbers.
Yeah, not that I know if the numbers are always correct up there at the top of our screen, but
yeah.
Well, there's not much more to discuss, so final questions to you all. Anything, last things that you want to say, Cerise, or where can people find you, maybe?
Oh, what question?
Well, places you can find me, quite a few people know that you can just easily find me on the forums. If you post something that I think is stupid, I will probably be in there within a few seconds. So that's where you can find me, PM me, whatever. Call me a dick. It doesn't matter. That is where you will find me.
All right. And Alakite, Borderland Gaming Team Manager.
Yeah, you can find me on the BLG website, blgaming.com. BL Gaming event we have. The IRC, C3 sometimes. I don't hang out as much there. Forums. I think that's it for now. I stream sometimes at different places, but...
And BL Gaming will be live streaming tomorrow morning, right? Saturday morning streams.
We do every Saturday morning at 6 or 8 o'clock Eastern, I guess.
So the EE people can play with you all.
Yeah, we invite people, our viewers, to play with us. Cerise actually played with us last week, a few matches.
And you all can find me right here on this Twitch channel. You can follow me, or you can see my site at justingaming.com, and it's got everything from my YouTube channel, which this video will be up on later, as well as my Twitter, which you can see right now in front of you, and more. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Cerise. Thank you, Alakite. We'll have another show next week to see how this week in gaming patch goes for SMITE, and how many people watch this video and then go into 5v5s and start using that build. We'll watch the forums blow up over in the next few days. So, which does actually bring it, regarding forums blown up, we've had an average of 5,000 people playing the game now.
Yeah,
could it
have
something to... No, please, young man.
The forums have been inundated with... I don't know what's the word for this here. I'm just going to say...
Lowered intelligence?
Yeah, there we go. I feel like that's the right word for this.
League of Legends players?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't want to isolate it to one group.
I'll do it. I'll do it for everyone.
It's
League of Legends players.
Actually,
what it is.
I wouldn't even say it's League of Legends players as much as it's a... there's tons of people unaware to this game style, even from the MMO scene, MMORPG scene, coming into it and playing it, that are not used to a defend and destroy elaborate gameplay map, or the idea of buying the items and stuff. I mean, there's with the viewpoint of this game, it's bringing in players from a whole bunch of different places, and not just League of Legends and Dota field as well. So I think we're getting hit from all sides and bringing in new people that have no
after
clue.
They started, the mass key reproduction where you could get 3 keys, give them out to someone else, 3 keys, whatever, the mass that. It was just like the forum started being inundated by people that are like, OP, nerf now. Okay, where's your argument? OP, nerf now. Okay.
I believe they call that referral key incest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just where, I don't know. It's so bad now, it seems. I don't want to go on there half the time.
I have to say, though, it is nice to actually be able to see the game increasing in players, though. Increasing in popularity, increasing in the number, queue times going down because of it, maybe getting better matchmaking. I mean, for those of you who have been playing since alpha, and then for those of us who have been playing since the beginning of closed beta, at least, who have actually, I guess, learned a bit more about the game, or at least are playing together with people that we can coordinate things, we're running into, some pugs or issues where they're either being slaughtered or we have horrible people on our teams when we solo queue. But I'm hoping that that's just because they've only had 1 week of play. there are tons of lower level accounts right now in there, or lower experience accounts that hopefully over the next few weeks start learning their gameplay, and we can see some increase in the higher level play. Some need more people to get guides out there.
One would hope that perhaps with the abundant knowledge that I put on the forums, that some people could learn a few things and obviously conform to my way of thinking. So
yeah, in that cesspool of knowledge on the forums.
So
right.
What about Hebo?
What about Hebo?
What about Hebo? I think he's broken. I just want to say that. I want to put that out there. I've been playing with him a lot lately, and it seems like he's starting to be insanely broken, in my opinion.
can I just say one thing about Hebo? I said in Alpha that Hebo was the strongest mage. I said it, I declared it, and everyone argued. They said, no, Hebo, he's the worst. He's got to get in melee range to hit damage. Well, I'm from League of Legends. I'm a professional player. You don't know what you're talking about.
And then they buffed him.
This is pretty true.
Yeah. No, not only did they buff him, but, I mean, they really didn't do that much drastically to him. I think it's just people realized that I can just build some damage on him and absolutely floor everything in front of me.
Do you think it mostly has to do with the percentage values of his magic power on his abilities?
Well,
like 100% magic power?
Well, like I'm saying, he has high bases, high ratios, which you have to pick one or the other. He becomes, he doesn't have a bad early game because, he has a pretty high base values with his 340, 280, the wave is pretty high. But then, he scales in the late game with this huge 100% on basically everything except wave, which is, 130. So it's basically, hey, I don't have a bad phase of the game. I scale perfect. I'm amazing whenever you want to play me. I feel like he's just so good right now.
All right.
Agni's still better.
All right, well, let's actually bring this to an end here. Thank you for everyone joining us. And if you are watching this show, head on over to those forums. Get a post up there, or find Alakite's post already up. It'd be easier to put it all in one thing about the 5 times mystical mark. Talk about it. Try it out for yourself once. Don't keep doing it. Try it out for once. Tell those people to go post about it themselves. See how overpowered that current non-counterable build is. And if you are new to the game, if you are new and you're watching this, take some time to learn the game. Ask people, read up, watch some guides. Other guides are probably not so good. But go out there, ask for help, and don't just cry to people out there, please. It gets kind of tiresome when you want to forfeit 10 minutes into the game and we haven't lost a tower yet because you keep dying. So
I'm a WoW Arena pro. I know everything about gaming. This game sucks.
There's no tab target. Okay, so let's bring this to an end. Thank you, and thank you, Cerise. Thank you, Alakite. And we'll be back next week for another Pantheon panel, and we'll see what we're talking about as it gets closer to then.
Whoa.
Hey, Alakite.
Are you sitting in vent?
Yeah, I realized that the vent just...
Oh,
Nice, guys.
Was that the sound earlier then? At the beginning, it was probably vent?
I just got done watching Pantheon Panel.
1 second, I need to I'm